Pro Late Model feature and 50 laps for the JNC Great All Florida Modifieds. There's a schedule of events for the first of 9 nights of the World Series. Charlie, good to be back here in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. What a forecast we have. What a field of cars we have for the first of 9 nights.
I'll tell you what, Adam. First of all, it's always great to be here with you and Jesse Punch down on pit road. And what a picture-perfect day we had here today on the Space Coast of Florida. 65 degrees at race time, but it was about 85 degrees throughout the course of the day. Nice, gentle breeze, absolutely clear sky. We just had one of those picture-perfect, beautiful Chamber of Commerce sunsets. We've got cars lined up on pit road. There's Derek Kraus climbing aboard his number 9. And, you know, talk about this racetrack just a little bit. It's been here since 1964, a very fast half mile.
Just 1 year away from the 60th running of the World Series. This place built in 1964, half mile. Good racing in the bottom groove, good racing in the middle groove. We'll see some outside lane passes. Outside lane, pretty good place to be as well. They've had qualifying today for all 4 divisions. Here's a look at some of the qualifying in the super late models, the top 5, taking us from 5th all the way up to first position.
Yeah, George Phillips in the 22 making the leap from the pro to the super. He's going to start, actually not start, but he did qualify in the 5th position.
Yeah, George Phillips, a young driver who had a couple of wins in pro late model competition 1 year ago during the World Series, running for the Donnie Wilson race team. A different look for the 22, which we have seen Gio Ruggiero pilot for a number of years. There's Cole Butcher, one of the best in super late model racing. Butcher from Canada qualifying 4th, putting himself in position to be one of the favorites, of course. So strong in ASA Stars National Tour competition the last couple of years, runner-up in points 2 years ago. Last year missed a couple races, still top 5 and picked up a few wins as well.
I think Cole Butcher getting some recon for that big Clyde Hart Memorial 200 coming up on Tuesday. This guy, no stranger to victory lane here at the World Series of Asphalt. That familiar 12G of Derek Griffith in that number 12G. Always a solid contender here at New Smyrna Speedway.
2-time champion of the super late models at the World Series. Watch for him run for the championship this week. He's a good one from the Northeast. William Sawalish and Gavin Bushell. Bushell right here in the 24 ended up fast time. Bushell in the 24, a young driver, 16 years of age, also in the Donnie Wilson Motorsports stable. Fast time out of 26 qualifiers earlier today. He's the one that drew the pill to set the invert for tonight's 59-lap feature race, and he really started to pick up his pace toward the end of the season in 2024 when it came to super late model racing.
And I'll tell you what, he's been strong here at New Smyrna, picked up a win in the Red Eye 50 earlier in the year, and he is going to be a threat to win. I know we've got a 3rd member of our crew with us here tonight.
Let's bring on Jesse Punch. Jesse, welcome to New Smyrna Speedway. How is it down there?
Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be back together for year 5, getting the band back together once again. And per usual, it is so much fun down here. The atmosphere is electric. World Series of Asphalt is always such a fun event because we're starting the season and no one's really angry yet. No one's torn up any equipment yet, especially for this starting race. So everyone's excited, ready to get the year started, and I am too.
We are about to start the engines. We'll be back with the first race of many this week at the World Series at New Smyrna Speedway. You're watching the World Series of Asphalt on FloRacing.
Welcome back to New Smyrna Speedway, the 59th running of the World Series of Asphalt. Night 1, Race 1. Getting started here in just a minute with the Dave Rogers Pro Late Models. The drivers have already climbed in their cars, and we are just getting ready to fire engines. So let's see if we can get these engines fired here and get this 59-lap race started. You know, just 59 laps in honor of the 59th running.
The super late models, one of the top divisions that run on a nightly basis here at the World Series. They'll be on hand 5 times during the week. We get to see those tour type modifieds. The tour modifieds themselves, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour tomorrow night. Racing here at the World Series. That will be a big one. I know a lot of folks are looking forward to that. And of course, then they come back a handful more times next week, including the Blewett Memorial, the Richie Evans Memorial. And they run for a tour type modified championship as part of the World Series, and they'll put on a great show. Pro late model field strong. We're going to see them later today. Florida modified field is stronger this year. I think we started with 9 on opening night last year. We're more like 16 tonight. It's a big improvement as well. We're in for a great week here at the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing.
And you know, Adam, you talked about super late models, pro late models, Florida modifieds, tour type modifieds. We'll have the 602 modifieds here later on next week. Already looking at 8 or 9 days ahead of. We will have a slew of local type racing divisions here with us. If you are a pavement short track fan, we will have your favorite type of car on the racetrack here at some point throughout the course of the next 9 nights. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you are, and Adam teased this, tomorrow night, if you are thinking about maybe coming out to the racetrack for that 200 lapper for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, get here early. We want you to watch this one on Flow, but if you come out to the racetrack, get here early, because that is always a sellout, and you're going to want to get here and get that seat, get that blanket down.
Super late models have rolled onto the raceway for this 59-lap feature in honor of that 59th year of the running of the World Series. Fast qualifier Gavin Bushell pulled the 3 pill. That puts him in a 3rd starting position. Puts 3rd fast qualifier Derek Griffith, 2-time World Series champion, on the pole. William Sawalich, 2nd fast in qualifying, starting outside.
Couple of teammates back there in row 2, Gavin Bushell and Cole Butcher out of the Donnie Wilson Motorsports stable. Gavin Bushell, your fast qualifier. Cole Butcher, no slouch. He may qualified 4th, but he's got a car that can go to the front.
George Phillips, in a pro late model last year, won 2 races. He's in a super for Donnie Wilson Motorsports, starts in the 5th position. Connor Jones, good qualifying effort in 6th. He's running pros and supers. He's won a handful of races in the pros during World Series in the past.
A couple of drivers that have been very successful in the pro late model division, jumping into the super late model division here in 2025. Carson Brown and the potent Anthony Campy Racing number 81. Dawson Sutton in that Rackley War Racing number 26. They're back in row 4.
I see one of the Canadians starting on the inside of row number 5. Corey Hall in the 83. He's had some good runs in the pros in the past, running a super late model here this year. Paul Schaefer Jr. makes his return to the World Series. Car number 7 starting outside of row number 5.
Paulie Schaefer with the flow going in position number 10 there. Brad May, a multiple-time track champion here at New Smyrna Speedway, starting to the inside of row 6 alongside a young hot shoe, Ty Fredrickson. Remember that name, folks, Ty Fredrickson. We are going to hear a lot from him over the course of the next few days.
Moving on to row number 7, position 13, Derek Kraus out of Stratford, Wisconsin. Saw him a little bit last year in the NASCAR Truck Series. We've seen him race a lot of the ASA Stars Tour. We saw him last year in the NASCAR Cup Series for a handful of starts. He starts 13th. Michael Hind, a former winner of the Speed Fest. He's won the World Crown now, 69, starts 14th.
Casey Klein out of Quincy, Washington, as far away as you can be and still be in the contiguous 48 states. He will start alongside Billy Van Meter back in row 8.
Cody Ware and Nicholas Nagel make up row 9. Row 10 features Bobby Good, one of the local favorites, and Mike Hopkins from the Northeast. Herman Main driver starts 20th.
Austin Terrace alongside Bobby Kendall back there in row 11. Jeremy Davis and Beto Montero back in row 12.
Rounding out our starting field, the 17 of Danny Knoll Jr. out of Amherst, New York. Steve Weaver, one of the local drivers who's made so many starts in World Series competition. And Derek Kelly rounding it out in the 1K. We're on our final couple of pace laps here before we get going. See a couple of the Wilson Motorsports cars. They're so good in qualifying. Bushell fastest in the 24. Cole Butcher on the outside lane. From Canada, the driver missing the invert by 1. That outside of row number 2 is a pretty good place to restart here. We've talked about it a lot. We call it the money spot on restarts. And they do have a chance on restarts here during the World Series to choose their lane, inside or outside. It gives them a chance to pick up some spots. A little bit of strategy into play when they line them up for each restart throughout the week.
Looking at that front row, Adam, Derek Griffith, a 2-time Super Late Model champion here at the World Series, alongside a 2-time ARCA Menards East champion in William Sawalich. William will be full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Those 2 drivers, I expect, are both going to want to lead lap number 1 coming to green this time around.
Super late model event number 400 in the history of the 59th running of the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. We are underway in the first of 9 nights.
Side by side through turns 1 and 2. Look at Cole Butcher in that 28 trying to find some racing room already. These guys itchy to get to that front as we come to complete lap number 1.
It was the smallest possible inverted 3. It could be anywhere between a 3 and an 8. It put the third fast qualifier Derek Griffith on the pole. He had the advantage a little bit coming off of 2 there, but that outside lane momentum of the 62. William Sawalich, what a talented young driver he is. We'll get to see him this year at the NASCAR Xfinity Series, moving his way up through the ranks. Sawalich into the lead off of 2.
That Kevin Harvick Incorporated number 62 powers off the top side, and look at this hornet's nest a little farther back in the top 10. George Phillips to the inside. That's the number 83 of Corey Hall. That's the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Scary moment for the youngster. The 15-year-old Ty Fredrickson came off of turn number 4, skipped against the wall just a little bit. Car looks to be okay. He continues on. He's going to be one of the full-timers this year, one of the Platinum Rackley teams on the ASA Stars National Tour.
Of course, Ty Fredrickson's dad, Dan Fredrickson, a 2-time winner in World Series competition here at New Smyrna Speedway. He is kind of stuck there, Adam, in that outside groove. I think, yeah, there you go. He's going to make a hard left-hand turn. He was trying to get to the bottom, finally made it happen.
Maybe almost too hard because it took some momentum away, and there's a little bit of contact from Derek Kraus. He was looking to the outside, some slight contact, and these first few laps for the Minnesota driver, Ty Fredrickson, have been a little bit scary. He wants to get laps. It's a long race at 59 laps. He wants to settle in as we look back up front where William Sawalich leads the way.
Look at this, Cole Butcher to the inside of Derek Griffith. Battle on now for second. Griffith going to use that momentum of the top side. He's going to hold on to second, but Cole Butcher really looking strong here in the early going.
We're now single file throughout our top 5, watching Griffith in second, third of Butcher. What a couple of seasons of super late model racing Butcher has had. Won the Winchester 400 this past year. Great run off of turn 2. That car is hooked up early on, pulls alongside, should be able to complete the pass of Griffith for the second position.
Look at this battle now on for the lead. Butcher's going to try to reel in William Sawalich as quickly as he can. Sawalich looking really good here in that number 62 car. Of course, making the leap into the NASCAR Xfinity Series on a full-time basis here. Look at this, Carson Brown to the inside. Paulie Schaefer there, giving him a little love tap through the center of turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Carson Brown takes 7th away from Schaefer. Corey Hall moving up on the inside lane, trying to get by Schaefer as well. He really hugged the bottom in turn 1. When you do that, sometimes the car wants to push a little bit into it. Did. He went up the track, had to check up. You see the sparks coming out. There's some contact. Michael Hind, George Phillips going for position. Phillips currently has position 10. Hind would like it. You see the sparks, just some down on the track. The car's just bottoming out a little bit. Something we'll see all week long.
You mentioned the 59-lap race distance, a little longer than normal. Normally these races 35 laps, 50 laps. In honor of the 59th run-in, we've extended it just a little bit, and it's right in that zone, Adam, where you still want to sprint, but you still have to take care of those tires a little bit to get to the end. And right now, these guys not taking care of anything. Paulie Schaefer and Corey Hall really going at it for position here.
Yeah, they're back in the 8th and 9th position. They don't have a lot of time to wait. They've got to come to the front. The cars in the first 5 spots very fast. They were quickest in qualifying. They're expected to be up there all the way to the finish. These guys got to go, especially if this race stays green all the way to the finish. And we have seen this quite a bit. Super late model, even in pro late model competition the last few years, these races can be pretty clean.
And, you know, we talked about that invert, the lowest possible invert 3. Sometime throughout the course of this week, you're going to want to be qualified back in that 6th, 7th, 8th position, because we will get that big invert after qualifying. But tonight, that's not happened, and these guys really desperately trying to tag on to the back of that lead group.
We saw Nicholas Nagel in the 08, Cody Ware in the 51, kind of roughing it up a little bit down in turn 1 after a change for position took place. There's Hall running 8th, Schaefer running 9th, Phillips in the 22 running in 10th. Love this view on the front straightaway. Gavin Bushell, top qualifier in the 24, started 3rd, has fallen to 4th. Connor Jones has a fast race car, not only in pro, but it looks like his super late model is hooked up as well, and he loves racing here at New Smyrna Speedway. A little bit faster than Bushell, middle of the corner, and makes some slight contact, lets him know he's there, and they continue on.
You know, we've seen that out of Connor Jones since he was about a 14-year-old kid racing here at the World Series. One of the more aggressive, one of the more physical drivers in super and pro late model competition. And look at this, Adam, a punt there from Cole Butcher. He's going to move Sawalich up out of the groove, battle on for the lead down into 1.
Pretty early for a little punt, but that car was able to rotate so much better than Sawalich's car down in 3 and 4. Sawalich back to the inside. Will he return the favor? Will he even be able to get there? Using a higher lane, leaving the bottom open is Butcher. Sideways a little bit off of 4. New leader, Cole Butcher. He very well could check out right now. That car looks to be stout.
And we have seen this out of Cole Butcher so often the last couple of years. This young man really, when he gets to the front, he likes to just get out and go. And right now he is trying to break away from William Sawalich and extend that lead.
Good number of these drivers using tonight as well to get hooked up for that Clyde Hart Memorial 200 coming up on Tuesday night for the ASA Stars National Tour. There is a line of cars starting with Schaefer running in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, all in line, ready to pounce. Portage, Indiana's Paulie Schaefer in the 7, trying to hold back a hornet's nest of competitors, starting with George Phillips. He's there.
Boy, Schaefer got way loose off of turn 2 right there. He is trying everything he can to keep that car to the bottom side of the racetrack, but it slid up and he opened the door there. George Phillips walked right through that gap, and now Schaefer's going to have his hands full with another one of our more aggressive drivers, Michael Hind, in that 69. He undoubtedly is going to be running out of patience here as we close in on the midway point here on night number 1.
Michael Hind, plenty of experience here in pro and super late model action. Of course, runs full time on the Southern Super Series. He's made a lot of starts here at the World Series as well. He's followed by a multi-time champion just out of the picture there, and Brad May, who's trying to work his way through the field. Working traffic, left side of the screen. The leader, Cole Butcher. Sawalich follows him along. Closing on the halfway mark of the race in this 59-lap event. Derek Griffith riding there in 3rd. Derek Griffith, when he's won those championships, he's been in victory lane here, but so many 2nd and 3rd place finishes. Very consistent here, night in and night out, as Michael Hind about to take the spot away from Schaefer. He's up to 10th.
You see some battle scars on the nose of the number 69 car. He did have a little scrape there with George Phillips back about 15 laps ago, and now Schaefer has his hands full with a guy who probably could drive this racetrack blindfolded if you asked him to. Brad May has got tens of thousands of laps in competition here at New Smyrna Speedway in that number 9 car. Multiple-time track champion, and Brad May, always the guy that likes to bring his A game to the World Series.
Yeah, and he's won some championships during the World Series. I think when I came down here in 2001, just to watch, Brad May was racing a limited late model back then and doing very well. We've seen him run the pros, the supers. He's won multi-championships here at the track. Probably about as many as just about anyone, maybe other than a guy like Jerry Simons, but Brad May from the Orlando area, very strong in the number 9 car.
You know, Adam, one thing I have noticed throughout every time we get a look through the field, a lot of these cars getting a little sketchy off of the corners. These tires getting warmed up a little bit, and as we got some problems down into turn 1, sparks and a car in the wall.
Right front going down on Casey Klein. Could have been suspension, could have gotten the wall. The sparks were flying well before he went into the turn 1 wall. He had no control, was able to get it slowed down some to minimize the damage. Beautiful race car for Casey Klein in the 1. Northwest Super Late Model champion from Quincy, Washington. Teenage competitor. And one of the drivers who was looking to make a lot of starts this week, including the big race on Tuesday night. So our first yellow flag in the first of 34 races this week is for Casey Klein with his right front damaged. He minimized the damage by weighing it down as much as possible. Could have been a lot worse. Did he get just suspension? Did he get the frame? Could be repairable. Let's hope for the best for Casey Klein so they can continue their week in this #1 car. And that's one thing, a lot of these competitors have backup cars, but some of them do not. And if you don't, a lot of them pull all-nighters, getting a car back together so they can contend the next night.
I think that's one of the cool things about the World Series of Asphalt is you will see other teams come and help somebody in a position like that. And I just checked this. You know, we talked about the longest commute award. Casey Klein from Quincy, Washington, 2,940 miles from Quincy, Washington to New Smyrna Speedway. And you think we've had a long drive, 1 day and 19 hours the drive time. Let's take a look at the replay here, Adam.
Casey Klein gets up, gets into the wall. Back of the car did first. The right front goes down, and then he's along for the ride, hard on the brakes, but when it's not turning, it's not going to slow down enough to make the corner. Just missed the corner a little bit, got into the wall. We saw Ty Fredrickson do it earlier, but he didn't clip it as much. Just got the right rear into it a bit. And Casey Klein was along for the ride once the right front came back and slapped the wall and broke the suspension.
And a couple of things I noticed there, and that was what I was talking about as that happened. A lot of these cars getting a little wishy-washy coming off of turn 4 right there. That's exactly what happened to Casey Klein. He got loose, chased it up the racetrack, and slapped the outside wall. And folks, if you noticed on that shot, the front stretch wall here at New Smyrna Speedway, not totally straight. It's got a little bow in it right about the start-finish line, and Casey caught it right at that bow, and I think that's what did the damage to that suspension right there and sent him up into the turn 1 wall.
We have completed 27 of our laps so far in this 59-lap event to open up the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. Back with the final 32 when we return on FloRacing.